Okay, perfect. So before we get into your chapter and what you've wrote about and all those things, do you want to share a little bit with me about like what was your writing experience like? Was this the first time writing? Is it not your first time? What was it like this time around?
So I'm currently writing, I have been for the past year, writing my first book. Um, it is it's written very different. It sort of self-writes because it is based on, the text of the session where I ask the question and the client answers. But specifically, it is about the galactic wars that happened on Lyra. And this project has evolved so much for me. I now have an understanding through ayahuasca why I'm writing it. Okay. It was all pre-planned, and they actually sent me the whole lineup over 3 years. Over 3 years, they were sending me clients that their story is meant to be on there. I Earlier on, I had discovered that there would be two books, a book one and two, because there's too much context to share, right? But it's basically what happened um, throughout the galactic wars happened in a 1,000 year span. It was, yes, it was brutal. And when my clients are at, we don't get years or anything like that, but it's through the perspective and through the eyes of what they experience. Many of them didn't make it, and then others were able to escape. And then where they escaped, where they transplanted um, on other planets. And actually, this is where the hybrid started, becoming more popular because you have your Lyran DNA that is connecting with a completely different race, creating a hybrid race, right? So it sort of writes itself. There's a lot of editing, a lot of stuff that I've taken out. I need to get back on it. I hit pause when you reached out to me. Okay. And yeah. And because you gave me these timelines, it's like, okay, just put that on the shelf. And so this project is very different because it's not written like Dolores Cannon books, right? It's written more, not like a novel, but just informative. And from the moment that you reached out, I knew what I wanted to write about. It just kind of came to me. I told you it would be galactic in nature. Um, not really realizing that it wouldn't fill a chapter. And that's okay because then I shared two, two separate. And that's really, I liked that because it shows that it's not just one person. Look how common this is. And what it's about is these races that are coming from other star systems and planets and what it looks like. What does it look like when they decide to come here and incarnate on Earth as a human? And the fact of the matter is, they are hybrid. They are hybrid. These are human hybrids that are here. And there is reluctance. You know, we've always we've always been told it's like, oh, the soul wants to be here, right? The soul wants to be here. But it's really interesting to go back and revisit these sessions to hear their reluctance when they are given, like there's like a hologram, and they're showing them Earth, and they're saying, this is one family, mother, father, siblings. Okay, there's that. Here's another one. You could be in Africa, right? Or you can be over here in the United States, or you can be in Chile or whatever. And um, they they choose without emotion. They're just like, let me just do that one. There's no connection as far as soul, the soul family type of thing that we normally see in past life regressions. It's very different. So, what that means is that when they are here, there is a feeling of disconnect, there is a feeling of not belonging, right? Yeah. So, and let me tell you, I have so many of these, Ameera. Like, I put two in there. The second one that I shared was a little different than the first because it showed that there was some reluctance in coming versus I think the first one was more, I'm ready to jump in, right? I'm ready. And so there are emotions when they come and they volunteer here. But the bottom line is there's always the ending is for it's done for the human race to help because Earth is in trouble. And I can only imagine if it weren't for these brave, hybrid beings that are here on our planet, what would it look like? So I know that they're making a difference. So,
Yeah, wow. I'm super excited to read not only your chapter but also your books coming out because this is a topic that I'm getting into more and more now. I in my previous books that we've done with NDI, two books that focused on ETs and extra-dimensional beings, we didn't focus it on an aspect of incarnating on Earth. It was more their role interacting with humans. And I remember making a joke in one of the books. I think I wrote either the introduction or the afterword. And I made a joke in one of those books and I said something like, if I was an ET and I was looking at Earth, I would gloss it over. This is a what is going on here? Look at these beings. They don't
yeah.
know who they are. They are disconnected. They're killing each other. There's wars. Who wants to be here? It's like, and then, I was obviously making a joke. I understand from a larger perspective and a more elevated
Yeah.
perspective that this is exactly the place to be because of that, because of the transformation that's happening and their hands
Yes.
in the clay because of that, right? And all of us.
Hmm.
So, but the one thing is not everyone takes it there, right? When we think about reincarnation, past lives, parallel lives, multiple timelines, all of these topics that we talk about, we're thinking, I was a human and then I was another human and I was on the Titanic and then I was another human and, I was living in some rural place or whatever. We never go to the timelines where we are not human. Sometimes we do, but they are not often talked about. And now, when you came in and I reached out to you, I knew exactly, okay, so this is the perspective that you're bringing and why it is so. Because, all the things happening, it's only a matter of time before we integrate with other beings. I don't think it's going to be that much longer for us. I think it will happen in our lifetimes, if I'm being honest. And it's these are conversations we need to open up now for the everyday person. Slowly people are getting
Yeah.
into these topics, and I think a healthy dose of sprinkling in some of these topics that might have been fear based, we can bring them
Yes,
in
yes.
and
Taboo,
discuss
very
them.
taboo.
Yeah, discuss them in a way that is not fear based, in a way that is going to elevate your consciousness, elevate your matter of thinking, instead of bringing up those images in your mind you get from Alien versus Predator that you've watched in the 80s or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right. That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm super excited for that perspective that
Yes.
you're going to bring, and all that you have to share. And I was like, I don't study this topic extensively. So the war, tell me more about this war that 1,000 years long. What happened? What caused it? What's going on?
So, and that will be part of it as well is bringing in channeled. If it's so crazy, Amira, this how this book has been just evolving. Um, from from the moment that I heard my very first Lyran session, I'm like, what the hell? Like, what do you mean you look like cats? Right? I'm like, huh? And you're at 7, 8 feet tall and just so regal, ancient, ancient. Yet, um, it's been such a beautiful story that has evolved. I remember a channeled message that I received with a mentor who channeled because I was asking, "Am I done with the book? Can I start writing it? Do I have I basically met everyone I need to meet?" And he said, "No." Actually, it was Metatron that the Metatron was channeling this information. He said, "No, there's two more, and one of them is going to be very different from what you have." And so I waited patiently. Months later, I met a woman at a pop up, like a spiritual event. I had my booth, she had hers. She was right next to me. And her thing was about nutrition and health. And we just start talking, and she just blurts out, "Yeah, I have these," because she knew what I did. She goes, "I had this really weird, like I astral projected myself. And I was in someone's closet, like in a closet, and I was peeking out of a closet and I saw this cat being sitting like at a dressing table with a mirror, and she's combing her hair, and she had red, 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 red hair." And I'm like, what the hell? Right. And then all of the sudden, she said, as I'm in the closet, peeking out, going, "Where am I?" Because she travels like that. One of her guides shows up in the closet and says, "You cannot be here. You cannot be seen. Let's go." Right. And then they popped out of that. So I found it very interesting that she saw a cat being. And then she started telling me a little bit more. And so I offered her a session. I said, "I need to see you. This is not by chance that you're next to me." And I was thinking all along of what I had heard, that there's two more. So I offered her the session. She came, and this is the one that they were saying is very different from the others. She went into a Lyran lifetime before they had evolved into these tall 7 foot, 8 foot beings that were so intelligent. They used to be animals walking on all fours, hunting, gathering. They are cats, after all. Okay. They are cats. And she was a young cat with her mother hunting in the forest. And the mother, what, and as I was asking questions, I said, "Are you standing?" Or she says, "Oh, we are cats like on all fours." But as her story evolved, there came a time where the race decides to split because their DNA starts changing. Imagine us, we are not what we used to be. We used to be apes, right? Look how our DNA has evolved over time. Science proves it. And so, same with them, they were these, you know, very primitive animals that evolved to these very intelligent, strong race. But her and her mother split. The mother refused to advance. She liked the way things were. So they had to split them because there were those that wanted to evolve and learn and grow, and then the others that were stuck in their old ways. And
I
so they
just want to
decided to,
I just want to
yes,
insert here quickly. I don't want to interrupt you, but it reminds me
it's
of
okay.
what's coming for us, right? Because there'll come a time where we are evolving spiritually and we need to let
Yes.
go of those who are refusing. And I'm starting to
Oh,
see shifts like that happening
yes.
now. I'm
That's
starting to
right.
see that happening now. There's a lot of people who are starting to just
Yes.
be gone. I don't know.
Yes. And I think those are the timelines that
Yeah.
well, I know for me, I have friends that are no longer my friends. And it's crazy how I feel that I have jumped timelines, several, and they've sort of fallen away. It's not that they don't exist, it's they live in my city, but the timeline, the splitting makes it so that you don't hear from them, you don't run into them at the market. You could be, yeah, I used to run into them all the time, or be at a restaurant. That doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
It to me, it's like they don't live here anymore.
Yeah, you're
It's
just on
really
a
wild.
different frequency, a different level. You're operating entirely different timelines, like you said.
Yes, yes.
So what happened?
So so they built a dome, and an enormous dome that they projected, a dome, glass, and they kept the primitives out. You go stay in the wild. And within the dome, they evolved. They built cities. They built, they just grew and grew and grew. And in that split, she never saw her mother again. She went to school and learned. They learned how to walk. They went to school to stand up and learned. So it was really cool to learn about the rate. So when they said it would be different, it had nothing to do with the wars, but it does show how this race has changed and evolved. But the wars, it was all about the reptilians. They had been watching the Lyrans for years, watching them, and they decided at one point to make contact with them. And when they came in friendly. We are your friends. We've been watching you and we've been wondering about your technology, and we would love to trade.
Uh,
And the truth of the matter is, there was no trade. It was domination,
yeah.
domination, domination. And the Lyrans were not prepared. The sad part is they had no word for war. They only had love. They had no word for weapons. Weapons did not exist. And the reptilians were far, far advanced. And they just wanted to dominate. So, yeah,
Oh my gosh. Before, I'd never heard the story before, but before you said reptilians, I knew you were going to say that. I knew that
of
they were
course.
evolved, and I knew that
Yes.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I've got some personal beef with them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I've had my
Oh, it's horrible, Ameera.
yeah.
The stories that come out from each individual, each chapter is a different story of what they went through and what was done to them.
So I have a
Just
question for
brutal.
you about
Mhm.
the reptilians and it's this. Are they disconnected from love? Are they disconnected from source, or are they acting in alignment with what their purpose is in terms of, I'm going to attack these guys because they need to learn these lessons, and we've made these arrangements and agreements and it's time. And are they conscious about their actions, or are they just sinister? Do you understand my question? It's kind of like, is there a deeper thing where they are acting out of love, they are acting out of service, but it looks as if they are just these horrible attacky beings?
Mhm.
Or is
Mhm.
it just, huh, we're going to do what we
Yeah.
need kind of thing?
Yes. So to answer your question, they disconnected from source. Yes. They are not of the light, and that is okay according to source. It's like it is duality, and um they pulled away from source. However, and this is a topic that comes up because a client of mine 2 weeks ago just channeled the reptilian Council of Light. And the moment I started sharing, because he was reptilian, his DNA original was reptilian. And he talked about how he evolved and how the reptilian said, this is what we're doing. We're going to go this way. And those that he says, I didn't follow. So he decided to stay in the light and stay with Source. And there are reptilians that are with Source, are of the light, and they show up quite a bit in other councils when I take people maybe to the Pleiades or wherever, and they see their council, there's a reptilian there. But there's always like this, ooh, ooh, but
Yeah.
they're not all bad.
Yeah,
They're
I
not
mean,
all bad,
I would
right?
assume that, yeah, it's they're not all bad. Like you don't get all bad humans, I would assume that there
Right.
are some that chose to stay in the light and stay with source. I was just it's probably a small percentage of them, I assume then. Um
Yeah, it is.
and I would love to learn more about their journey and what happened. Why did you guys just turn evil? But I don't want to go through what I need to go through to get that
That's
information.
not what the book is about. Yeah. We're that's not what the book is about.
That's good.
But it is about what they did. And
Yeah.
the Lyran Wars, Lyra is a constellation with many planets. And Orion, the planet Orion, is part of the Lyran constellation. That is where an expression of me, I have many expressions that are up there, Arcturian, but I am a Lyran hybrid. This is why this project is so passionate. And it was an agreement that I made. And during ayahuasca, I met that expression of me. She came forward and she was cat-like, um, hybrid, but I have her name, which I'm going to dedicate the book to. Okay. And she talked to me about this project, and I know they're waiting. They're like, there's no book like this. Um, and it's not meant to be a bestseller. I'm self-publishing it, but just the title alone will, there's so many people waking up to the fact that they resonate with Lyra. And where do I go? What do I do? And the book is they're just going to buy it and learn and remember, and they'll start to remember. So yeah, I'm excited. I got to finish it. So when this is all done, I've got to jump back in. I've done 5 chapters so far
Wow, that's
of book
super
one.
exciting. That I am waiting with bated breath. So let me know when you've got your manuscript ready. I want to be on your ARC team. I want to give you the feedback for your first manuscript. I don't want to wait
Oh,
until it's all edited and shiny. No, I, for some reason, I'm very much drawn to these topics lately. I feel like there's more to it than just these wonderful stories. It's like there's something evolving underneath, and these are all those blocks and those stepping stones. Um, and I want to amplify these stories. So let me know if there's anything I can do to help you further,
thank you.
the advancement of your book or further amplify it further. I would love that.
Yeah.
And
Have you ever had a
so
session, Ameera?
I've never.
No?
No, I've never even had a past life regression. The closest I've
Okay.
come to it is I've done quite a few QHHTs, but I've never even done a past life regression. The closest I've come
But
was someone who is a seer, someone who's advanced, came to me and told me some things about lives that they could see into. But it was not deep. It wasn't a regression, a deep regression.
oh, but you did QHHT, so you did see some past
All
lives,
my
right? Or what
QHHT
happened?
sessions were book related. So information about what needs to be contained, who needs to be involved, that kind of
Oh,
thing.
so you're just
Not
channeling.
personal. Yes, nothing personal. So I don't, maybe that's, something I need to open up and get into.
Well, I want to be the one to do it. And so I'd love to offer you
I
that
would love that.
as a
Okay.
collaboration, okay? And what that means is you being comfortable on camera because I have the podcast. So your session would probably be on there, right? As a collaboration, also on YouTube. So if you're comfortable being on camera and talking about your wherever you go, anything deeply personal will be edited out. Okay. like, if you're not comfortable with your child's name, things like that. Um, I can certainly edit things out. But the core of where you're going, maybe there is a reason that you've been curious
Yeah.
and curious into certain topics. And I'd love to, I
Yes.
collaborate with a lot of creators on social media. That's um, partly, I attribute that to the growth that I've
Yes.
had on social media. So
I would love that. Thank you for the offer. I accept.
you're ready.
Yeah, we'll definitely get in touch and share, do those things. But yeah, I'm super excited for not only your book, but the book we're doing together as a collective, all these wonderful stories about the soul's journey, all of the
Yeah.
things.
What's everybody else writing about? I'm so
You
curious.
know, it's a lot of different things all coming together to basically give more insight into the bigger topic of the soul's journey, right? So some are
Yep.
writing about lifetimes they remember, others are writing about regressions they've had with clients and things that they've experienced. There's a lot of not just like, I remember this or I remember that, but deeper lessons like what it means when you have, family members who are challenging, like what were the underlying karmic agreements and things that you can look into. So there's a lot of things that are going to be practical that people can use to improve their lives, improve the lives of others, to release themselves from, underlying fear from this topic, the limiting beliefs they have about this topic, some of the misconceptions and some of the false ideologies they've picked up about the topic. I'm learning a great deal. I
Yeah.
for a long time, I believed that reincarnation was a punishment of some kind. I was told that when I was a child, and I believed it into my adulthood. So things like that we don't really think about are, going to be addressed, maybe not directly, but through storytelling and through, sharing of experiences and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a book that will really uplift where we are as a society in terms of thinking bigger beyond just NDEs, beyond just what we know about the afterlife based on someone who was passed on and said, oh, I experienced this and I had an NDE. This is more in depth, because it was regressed. A lot of it was regressed, and people pull the information out, like deep questions what were questioned about. So it's exciting.
Mm.
We'll see the
Yeah.
finished product together, all of us as a group. So I'm super
Yes.
excited about that. And it's on pre-order right now. People can go and get it for volume 1, 2, and 3. It's only 99 cents on ebook. Get it, enjoy it, and give us your feedback. We would love your feedback on the book. Email me, put it on social media, put your reviews on Amazon, all of that good stuff. And
Hmm.
I would love to continue chatting with you further. I'm actually going to email you about our session together. So thank you so much for your
Yes. Okay.
time. I really appreciate you chatting with me
You're so
today.
welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And we'll speak
Okay.
soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.